What's up everyone, and thank you for stopping by the channel. Today's project is this Craftsman Edger, and the problem is it's been in storage for a very long time and now it won't start. Let's take a good look at it, find out what's wrong with it, and hopefully we can fix it. In this video, we try and repair this edger. However, it may not be the exact repair you need to make to yours. We'll explore other options later in the video. Now, this edger is in decent shape and doesn't appear to have been abused or badly handled. However, one of the worst things you can do to a piece of equipment is to put it away in storage, dirty and with gas in the tank. The dirt can hold moisture and rust out the machine, and the gas will go bad, destroying the gas tank and the carburetor. However, as you'll see in this particular case, none of those things happened. One of the first things I like to do is to slowly pull on the rope to see if the engine compression fights back. It's not a definitive test, but it gives me an idea of the health of the engine, and this engine isn't fighting back that much, but there is some compression there. Now, if we take the gas cap off, we can see there's no gas in it, so it must have dried up while in storage. The good news is that the tank is made out of plastic, so we don't have to worry about a rusty fuel tank. And as for the oil, there's some in there. It's a little low and the color isn't good, so if we do get this thing working again, we'll definitely need to do an oil change. The second thing I like to do is use my spark checker to see if the ignition system is working. You can get these online for just a few dollars shipped to your door. All you need to do is install it in line with your spark plug, pull the rope a few times, and watch for an orange glow in the tester. I know it's hard to see the orange glow, so I paused it, and as you can see, we do have spark. Now, if you don't see an orange glow, check to make sure that the kill switch is in the on position. Next, I want to use my compression tester to see just how healthy the engine is. I want to see a number well over 100 psi, and the higher the better. If it's lower than 100, then it means it's a little worn out, and if it's lower than 80, then it might not start at all. To use the tester, remove the spark plug and install the tester into the engine, and pull the rope several times. So the reading is extremely low at just 60 psi, which is not good. However, if there's a built-in compression release, then the reading will be lower than normal. The release is there to make the rope pull a lot easier, but at the same time, it'll give a lower than normal reading when doing this test. So there's still a chance for this engine. The next thing I want to do is try to do a test run by putting some gas into the engine and pulling the rope over a couple of times. Now, it's hard to believe, but the engine actually started and ran for a second, so we might as well continue with the repair. Now, if it didn't start and run, then I would have stopped right here with the repairs and looked to see why the engine didn't start, and more than likely, it would have been worn piston rings. And if that was the case, I would probably consider replacing the engine because I don't think I can find engine parts for this machine anymore. The next thing we need to do is get to the carburetor, and to make filming a bit easier, I'm going to remove the gas tank. The other reason why I want to remove the gas tank is I find it easier to remove the carburetor with the intake pipe still connected to it. Just remove the bolts on the intake and then maneuver the carburetor off the throttle linkage. So this carburetor is very interesting. This style is designed a lot like a large version of a weed eater carburetor, right down to the low and high adjustment screws. The biggest giveaway is that it has a metering diaphragm just like your trimmer, and then more than likely that's the reason why this engine won't start. We need to remove the plate that covers it and inspect its condition. It needs to be flexible so it can move and control fuel flow, and if it's hardened over time, it can't do that. So the good news is that I don't see any wrinkles, but the bad news is that the diaphragm is as tight as a drum. It's completely petrified and brittle, so it definitely needs to be replaced. It's also worth mentioning that it looks like the metering diaphragm is in contact with the body of the carburetor, then the gasket goes on top of it, sealing it to the plate. This is important to note because it's backwards from the way it is on your weed eater carburetor. I was trying to be careful when removing the diaphragm, but I ended up damaging it, so it really doesn't matter if I destroy it while removing it. Now, after removing the old diaphragm, it actually doesn't look that bad under here. There's some debris on one side that needs to be cleared, and there's also a needle and seat that we'll need to inspect as well. I'm also going to remove the filter adapter only because it'll make it easier to remove and clean up the leftover gasket and diaphragm material. After brushing away the debris, I'll then remove the needle and seat. Just be very careful because there's a small spring behind the needle that's very easy to lose. So surprisingly, the needle and the brass seat are in great condition. There's no buildup on them, and I can see through all the holes in the seat. If there was any buildup, use a small diameter wire to clear the holes and then finish it off with some carb cleaner. The next thing I want to do is remove one adjustment screw at a time and spray some carb cleaner into each opening. After that, I'll replace the screw and do the same thing to the other one. It's also worth mentioning, it looks like someone has already tried to adjust this carburetor. The idle set screw has been turned in several turns in an effort to get it working again. I didn't mention it earlier, but before you remove the screws, turn the screws clockwise until it bottoms out and count how many turns it took. Then when you replace the screw, you can put it back the way you found it. Unfortunately, it looks like someone's already turned these as they were near the bottom already. Once that's done, we can then replace the needle in the seat and then wait for our new metering diaphragm to arrive. Okay, it's been a couple of days and our new metering diaphragm and gasket kit has just arrived. I ordered it online and it was only $12 shipped to my door. Now before you install the diaphragm, just make sure that the mating surface on the carburetor is mostly clean and then install it, followed by the gasket and then the plate and its bolts. Now once the carburetor is back together, then we'll install it back onto the engine. Another reason why this engine might not be starting is that the compression is too low. I'm not exactly sure why this engine is still working with such a low reading, but there might be a compression release for ease of starting, but when running at higher engine speeds, the compression release disengages and the compression reading is back to normal. There is another reason why this engine might have low compression. One reason could be leaking valve seats due to carbon buildup. Unfortunately, to fix that, it would mean we'd have to take most of the engine apart, and it would be much easier to just replace the engine for a little over $130 plus tax, of course. Now that the carburetor is back on the engine, we need to replace the old air filter with a new one and then put some fresh gas in the tank. I think it's finally time for a test start. I forgot the choke position is on the other side of the carburetor. So it still didn't start, and that means I'm going to physically prime the carburetor with gas. That means we also need to put the choke lever in the run position. So we were able to get it to start and run for a bit while it was choked, but as soon as we tried to move it to the half choke position, it started to stumble and eventually stalled out and died. That means we don't have enough gas getting to the engine, and to deal with this, I'm going to make a few adjustments to the carburetor. It's really having a hard time idling, so the first adjustment is to the L screw. I want to add lots of fuel to it, so I'll turn the screw counterclockwise one whole turn, and then I'll do the same thing to the H screw, except I'm going to turn it only half a turn. So we finally got it to run a lot better, and we could use it in this condition. However, the throttle seems to not be working at all. No matter how much I move it, it doesn't want to idle, and it never changes engine speed. Like I said, you could use it this way, but I'd rather it work like it's supposed to, and this definitely needs more work to get it there. Unfortunately, we're going to leave it the way it is, and the next time you see this Edger, we'll look into the reason why this engine won't rev up or down, and then we'll get it ready for the mowing season. So my question is, do you really need a 3 horsepower edger? I mean, I don't see these edgers anymore, and most people really don't seem to use them. So am I wasting my time getting this thing going again, or is there still a need for these in the market? Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time. Please feel free to ask me any questions, and I hope to see you in the next video.